This is CBC Vancouver News.
Most of us will not enter the hospital here for stigma reasons, and they're now getting the health care they need.
How a wellness program in Cranbrook is helping provide vital care to unhoused residents. Plus,
at one point, I went down on my knees and I prayed and asked for help because now it was too much.
an emotional story of redemption and resilience. Why one Okanagan man says music has played a pivotal role in helping him rebuild his life. And
something that is like a normal alley to become something more festive alley.
how a pop-up fashion show is breathing new life into Gastown's historic Blood Alley Square. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Janella Hamilton. From eggnog and rum to mulled wine and hot toddies, the holidays are often a time of indulgence. But are new guidelines around safe alcohol consumption and changing habits a Grinch at the party or a case for sober second thought? Yasmin Khanea has more.
No more than 2 drinks a week. That's what the Canadian Centre on Substance Use and Addiction recommends to avoid negative consequences associated with alcohol.
It's probably better for everybody to scale back a little bit, but it kind of goes out the window in the holidays a little.
Not reasonable. It has to change. You got to make an adjustment, especially for the weather, especially for the holidays.
With Christmas parties, family get-togethers, and yummy drinks.
I like an old-fashioned mule.
I know the thick rum and eggnogs this time of year.
Drinking less can be difficult. But the new guidelines say even 3 to 6 drinks a week increases the risk of developing certain cancers. Experts say this doesn't mean you shouldn't drink at all, but less is better.
Because the risks of problems do start to go up after a couple of drinks a week, albeit, not very quickly at first, but drinking less, you're going to do so much good for yourself. You're going to save money, you're going to sleep better.
Psychologists who work with people wanting to change drinking habits recommend making small, specific changes that are time-bound, like reducing the amount of drinks you have a week by 1, then reassessing after a month. The new guidelines aren't yet reflected on the Government of Canada's webpage about low-risk alcohol consumption. It still says limit alcohol to no more than 10 drinks a week for women and 15 for men. In a statement, Health Canada says the federal government acknowledges that alcohol use is a serious public health and safety issue affecting individuals and communities, adding that it's giving $2 million to the Canadian Centre on Substance Use and Addiction to communicate the risks and harms of alcohol consumption to diverse populations across Canada. Some people say they likely won't have less than 2 drinks a week this holiday season.
3 to 4.
3 to 4 in this weather.
Got to celebrate the holidays.
While others hoping you spread the holiday cheer safely.
Just be responsible, don't drink and drive. And if you're going to drink, stay at a friend's house or have somebody Uber or Lyft you.
Yasmin Khanea, CBC News, Vancouver.
As BC's housing crisis continues to impact people in Cranbrook, some service providers are working to help fill the gaps, preparing extreme weather shelters and connecting unhoused people with vital access to care. As Corey Bullock tells us, the community is working together to help find solutions.
For people like Diana Shuttleworth, being able to see a doctor has been invaluable.
Dr. Rick really understands the homeless, as we're not treated very well in society. As soon as they found out you're homeless, their attitudes towards you kind of cool.
Shuttleworth has been going to wellness sessions on Tuesdays at Anchors, the community's outreach centre, where a warm meal is shared and the doctor is in.
It's about access to care, and it's about helping people who are unhoused or who use drugs get a care that they should get in Canada.
Shilke sees as many patients as he can during the 1-hour sessions, whether it's to treat a wound or simply have a conversation. And Kathleen Dupuis says she's seen improvements with her peers since the program started.
I know most of my peers are like they will not go to a doctor. Most of us will not enter the hospital here for stigma reasons, and they're now getting the health care they need.
Polly Sutherland of Anchors says the wellness sessions are just one piece to a much larger puzzle, stating that housing is a part of wellness and it's desperately needed in Cranbrook.
We know that once people are stabilized, that is where change can happen. And it's really hard to be stabilized when you're having to take your tent down each day.
Dupuis and Shuttleworth are two of 116 people experiencing homelessness in Cranbrook, almost double the 63 from last year. And the city is still without a permanent shelter. Dupuis now stays at the Travelodge, a temporary homeless shelter set up by BC Housing in 2020. The Crown Agency has purchased a space for a permanent shelter that it plans to open next year. And in the meantime, different agencies, including the city, are coming together to try and help the city's most vulnerable.
Working in silos does not work anymore. With the complexity and the nature and the occurrences of challenges and struggles that people are facing right now, we've got to do it differently. And the only way to do that differently is to come together as resources and work together.
Working together to try and fill the gaps in a growing crisis. Corey Bullock, CBC News, Cranbrook.
With the cost of living continuing to rise, the demand for donations of food, toys, and clothing is higher than ever. One longtime Kamloops charity is hoping to help meet that need by providing a hand up this holiday season through dozens of Christmas hampers. Take a look.
Sally Whitson, I'm the coordinator of Christmas Amalgamated. All of the groups that do hampers got together, like the service clubs, etc. And they had a meeting because they discovered that what they were doing was they were all looking after the same people. And therefore there wasn't enough to go around, and there were lots of people who needed one and weren't getting one. So they had this meeting and they decided that they would form a place called Christmas Amalgamated to make sure that all the names went through there. And they would draw their names from one list rather than having 10 lists going. Back when we started, they did a total of 100 hampers, and the hampers certainly weren't what they are today. And they had toys that were used and broken. Now all the toys are new, and the hampers are enough to feed a family for a Christmas dinner. One of my favorite things has always been people who are recipients coming back and saying, my life is good now, I'm able to contribute, or I'm receiving a hamper and I want to come and volunteer and help with the process. So that to me really is impressive, that somebody really wants to pay it forward.
To the Okanagan now, where a man who was once unhoused says he's found his Christmas miracle. For Bernard Cloutier, it's salvation through music and forging new relationships as he rebuilds himself after a fall from financial wealth and privilege left him homeless. Brady Strachan has his emotional story.
And so this is Christmas. In the hushed halls of this Penticton church, Bernard Cloutier's weathered hands breathe life into these ivories. The old and the young. Each week, for hours uncounted, Cloutier sits here, his fingers weaving a tapestry of melody and memory. The peace he's found here is hard fought. Just 18 months ago, this serenity was unimaginable for Cloutier as his life was unraveling, leading him into the throes of homelessness.
I feel like I want to cry because I know where I was, and it's not too long ago, you know.
A fall from a life of wealth and privilege that Cloutier once knew. A past life where he amassed fortunes on the stock market and traveled the world in luxury.
It was a fantastic life, living on the beach, living in Whistler.
But through a series of misguided decisions, he lost everything, plunging into a dark abyss of depression.
I just turned 65 and I lost everything again.
The pain was only compounded when his relationship of 17 years crumbled into pieces.
So this is the note Christine left me to tell me she was gone.
In 2021, facing eviction from his high-rise apartment in Vancouver, a glimmer of hope emerged, a chance for a new beginning on a ranch near Karamias. From a tent under a makeshift shelter to a forest cottage, Cloutier sought refuge. Yet, in a cruel twist, a winter chimney fire razed the cottage, once again uprooting his life.
I was devastated. And at one point, I went down on my knees and I prayed and asked for help because now it was too much. Yeah, I was homeless and with nothing.
In Penticton, he first found temporary shelter in a motel room. His life became a series of moves, even living out of his car at a campsite. Finally, in a turn of fate, Cloutier found supportive housing.
And welcome to my kingdom.
A new, humbler life emerged, and through it all, Cloutier rekindled his faith and felt the compelling call of the piano, an urge to reconnect and build upon a once familiar skill.
It is just something beautiful that's difficult to put into words, but I can see that the Lord is working in his life. And I know because of his story that there's hope for everybody in the world today, and coming up to Christmas especially.
The piano for Cloutier has become a lifeline, reshaping his future into one filled with excitement and optimism.
You know, I'm telling friends now that I've lived in 2023 my best life ever. I mean, this is incredible that I could say this after all what happened. And it's quite a blessing.
This newfound path has brought him friendships in the music community. Through music, Cloutier has transformed his life's trials into something beautiful. A gift he eagerly shares with others this Christmas. Brady Strachan, CBC News, Penticton.
Drive BC is reminding motorists to use caution this holiday weekend. Falling temperatures and snowfall have created slippery road conditions along the mountain passes. This is video from earlier today on the Coquihalla Highway near Kamloops. Drive BC says 18 centimeters of snow fell along the summit overnight, the temperatures dipping to -3 this morning. After waiting 2 years, a family that fled the Taliban in Afghanistan arrived in BC today, thanks to the help of volunteers who fought to bring them here. The Ahmadi family touched down at the Comox airport earlier today, ready to start a new life on Vancouver Island.
This is happening. It's been 2 years that we've been waiting for this.
I've been waiting so long. I'm so excited.
It's hard to believe it's actually happening now because there were so many sleepless nights.
According to the family, one of the Ahmadis had helped U.S. forces as an interpreter when the Canadian and American armies pulled out of the country and the Taliban took control. The family says they were soon fleeing for their lives. After hearing their story, a group of Campbell River residents headed by Downey came together to sponsor the family in Canada, arriving today just in time for Christmas. In Vancouver, a pop-up fashion show took over Gastown's Blood Alley this afternoon. As Sohrab Sandhu reports, the event aims to revitalize the historic space back to its glory days, a vibrant community hub.
Music, live performances, and a colorful runway show, bringing life back to this historic space in Vancouver's Gastown neighborhood. Blood Alley is a cobblestone laneway nestled between Abbott and Corral streets. In the late 60s, it was heart of the commercial district. But over the years, the square has become a gathering place for drug users, dealers, and people experiencing homelessness, contributing to the decline of businesses in the area. Recently, the city of Vancouver has been trying to find different ways to revive the space.
We collaborate with the city placemaking to revive this Blood Alley Square to turn it into something more like it's an activation. So it's something that is like a normal alley to become something more festive alley. Yeah.
Organizers of Saturday's fashion show say the space has great potential. Ashira Dominique says it's important to preserve its history and heritage.
You could see it as like more just an outdoor alley to just pass, but I'm seeing so many like graffiti alleys and just so much potential to just, amplify art in this space.
The event featured 8 local designers, providing a platform for models, makeup artists, and photographers.
Vancouver's fashion scene is relatively small. We have a lot of amazing designers here who I feel like don't have the opportunity often to showcase their work. So an event like this really helps bring designers together to even meet one another and see who else is in this field.
It doesn't matter if you are like a very high designer or you're still like you just graduated. The best thing is just we need to support each other.
Organizers hope the event will showcase how the space can be utilized and brought back to its glory days as a vibrant community hub. Saurabh Sandhu, CBC News, Vancouver.
This is the lens board. It's made out of sugar.
Coming up, why one New Westminster man decided to take his gingerbread engineering beyond houses to create an edible camera. We'll have that story next. 'Tis the season for gingerbread cookies, but have you ever seen a gingerbread camera? One New Westminster photographer was up for the challenge, engineering his very own edible camera.
You can make a camera out of bread. This is Gingerbread 2, a film camera that takes pictures, and you can eat it. This is the lens part. It's made out of sugar. It has a paper shutter that uses gravity, so it's sort of like this. So the photos are like quite blurry. It also has like a bit of a funhouse effect. And I think this is a really good learning opportunity for people to kind of see how things work. So that's inside the camera. It just lets in light for a fraction of a second. So the film is stacked in there like a deck of cards. So next time when I let the shutter go through, this hole will briefly slide over the lens and just kind of like keep it open for like a split second. It has to be really quick. When this crank is rotated this way, so there's some metal rollers. So what they will do is they will squeeze the film. It has chemicals. And so what happens to them, they get spread over the entirety of the film, and that's how it becomes a picture.
All right, let's try it.
Yeah, let's do it.
My very first spread camera photo.
Okay, is the lens center on you?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we got the results, and you can just see like a big smile in the photo, so that's cool.
Out of gingerbread, I mean, this is the first time I've seen one working like that, so I was quite happy. It was wild, but also I was like really tired because this took a lot of work to do. It looks kind of neat now, but it didn't come out of the oven this way. I had to like file down pieces as well. It's hilarious that it worked. Like I filed bread, I never thought I'd do that in my life. It's kind of novel. I think it's kind of fun, kind of funny in a way. So you can really simplify science and you can make it hilarious, which I think is kind of fun.
Now to Prince George, where the weather is unseasonably mild. Residents there say they have mixed feelings about the lack of snow this holiday season.
So we've had a later winter this season. We did have the one big snowfall that we were able to pack down into somewhat of a skiing space, but unfortunately since then we have experienced warm temperatures, rain, causing the trails to become quite saturated and ruddy. So if you have people skiing out on these trails today, it's either going to be wet, icy, or they're going to come across some ruts. It's been a few years since we've experienced something like this. I was recapping, I think it was around 2016 that was the last time that we saw a winter similar, not quite as late as this, but it does fluctuate. Like last year we were this time minus 30 and closed. So yeah, you hope for the best and take what you get.
Can I ask you how you feel about the rain in December here?
Oh, it's good. Like, it feels good. Better than having the minus 30 or minus 40, right?
So you prefer this?
Yes, I prefer this because I'm from India, right? So I'm kind of used to it, and it's much more like from where I am. So yeah, it's what I like. So far, I'm liking it.
Oh, I love the rain, brother.
So this is better than snow for you?
Reminds me of the West Coast.
So where are you from originally?
New West.
Okay, so this feels like home to you.
It does, actually. Good working weather. Lets you know you're still alive, and it keeps it keeps the snow away, actually. But I do like the snow, though.
All right, and so does it feel kind of like Christmas to you, just because that's what you grew up with?
Well, I grew up out here, and as a kid, we used to have like anywhere from 4 to 6 feet of snow. You know, it's kind of different now, but that's how, you know, all the weather changed and everything like that. But I mean, honestly, Christmas is Christmas, man. Christmas is every day, not just once a year.
Coming up, how one man's incredible Christmas lights have been captivating the neighborhood for 15 years. We'll have that story after the break. For the past 15 years, a Victoria senior has been getting more creative with his Christmas lights game. His display that glitters along with music takes 4 weeks to set up. One of the reasons he says this will be his final year.
You know, it's just time to retire. You retire from your job and you retire from Christmas lights.
The lights are synchronized from songs playing via a special FM transmitter, so onlookers can watch and listen from inside their vehicles. After the last song plays at 10 o'clock on Sunday, January 7th, Williams will unplug for good. It'll take another 3 weeks to dismantle, and then he's planning to sell his lights, but he hopes there is someone out there who might be interested in keeping the neighborhood tradition going. That is your late news for this Saturday. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of all of us here at CBC Vancouver, I'd like to wish you the happiest of holidays and the very best in 2024. For news at any hour, you can always head to our website, cbc.ca/BC. We leave you now with an impromptu piano performance by A-list celebrity Sir Anthony Hopkins at the Shangri-La in Vancouver on Friday.